Okay, be honest. Has this ever happened to you? You spend hours carefully taping off your walls. You're so careful with the paint, and then you peel off the tape and disaster. Crooked lines, paint bleeds everywhere. It looks like a toddler did it. Well, what if I told you that getting professional-looking razor-sharp paint lines isn't about being super steady-handed or having years of experience? It's about knowing a few simple tricks that the pros use every single time. And by the end of this video, you're going to know all of them. Before we get started, check out the link in the description to download our ebook. Today, we're talking about something that seems simple, but can make or break your entire paint job: clean. Straight lines. Whether you're painting an accent wall, doing trim work, or creating a cool geometric design, these techniques will give you that professional finish without hiring a pro. And here's the best part. These tips are easy. You don't need fancy tools or a steady surgeon's hand. You just need to know what to do, and more importantly, what not to do. So grab your paintbrush, and let's dive in. Tip 1. Use the right tape and apply it correctly. Alright, tip number 1 might seem obvious, but trust me, most people get this wrong. You need to use the right painter's tape. Not all tape is created equal. You want to look for tape specifically labeled for sharp lines or delicate surfaces. Brands like Frog Tape or Scotch Blue are great. The green Frog Tape actually has this cool technology where it seals the edges when it gets wet with paint. Game changer. Here's the mistake people make. They slap the tape on and call it a day. Nope, you need to press it down firmly, especially along the edge where you'll be painting. I like to use a putty knife or even an old credit card to really burnish that edge. You're creating a seal so paint can't sneak underneath. Go over it twice if you need to. This one step alone will save you so much frustration. Tools needed: high-quality painter's tape and a putty knife or credit card. Pro tip: don't leave tape on for more than 24 hours, or it can get stubborn and pull off your paint when you remove it. Nobody wants that. Tip 2. The secret weapon: seal your tape first. Okay, this next tip is where we separate the amateurs from the pros. Are you ready? Before you paint your actual color, you're going to paint over the tape edge with your base color. I know, it sounds backwards. But here's why it works. Any paint that bleeds under the tape will be the same color as your wall, so it's invisible. Then, when you paint your new color on top, the edge is already sealed and you get a perfect line. So if you're painting a white wall with a navy blue accent, you'd tape it off. Then paint a thin coat of the white along the tape line first. Let it dry for about 30 minutes. Doesn't have to be bone dry, just not wet, and then paint your navy. This trick alone will blow your mind. The first time I did this, I actually gasped when I pulled the tape off. It was that clean. Tools needed: your base wall color, usually white or whatever color you're covering, a small angled brush, and 30 minutes of drying time. Common mistake: rushing this step. Give that base coat time to dry, or you'll just smear everything around. Patience, grasshopper. Tip 3. Use an angled brush for control. Let's talk tools for a second. You can have the best tape in the world, but if you're using a cheap floppy brush, you're making life harder than it needs to be. Invest in a good Tunch angled sash brush. The angle gives you so much more control, especially when you're cutting in around tape or doing trim work. And good quality bristles hold more paint without dripping everywhere. Here's how to use it. Hold the brush like a pencil, not like a hammer. Light pressure. Let the bristles do the work. You want to paint away from the tape, not into it. If you're pushing paint toward the tape, you're just forcing it under the edge. And don't overload your brush. Dip it about 1/3 of the way into the paint. Tap off the excess, don't wipe it on the rim. That removes too much, and then apply it in smooth strokes. Tools needed: a 2-inch angled sash brush where quality matters, and paint that's not too thick-thin. It's slightly if needed. Quick hack: if you're doing multiple coats, wrap your brush in plastic wrap or a damp paper towel between coats so you don't have to clean it every time. Saves so much time. Tip 4. Remove tape at the right time. Alright, you've taped, you've sealed, you've painted like a boss. Now comes the moment of truth: removing the tape. And timing is everything here. The biggest mistake: waiting until the paint is completely dry. When paint fully cures, it can bond to the tape. And then when you pull it off rip, you get a jagged edge or even pull off chunks of paint. Not good. The sweet spot is when the paint is dry to the touch, but not fully cured, usually about 30 minutes to an hour after your final coat. It should feel dry, but still slightly soft. And here's how to remove it. Pull the tape back on itself at a 45-degree angle, slow and steady. Don't yank it straight off. If you feel resistance, stop and use a utility knife to score along the edge. This prevents any tearing. If you accidentally waited too long and the paint dried, here's a fix. Use a hairdryer to gently warm the tape for a few seconds. The heat softens the adhesive and makes it easier to remove without damage. Tools needed: a timer or clock, a utility knife for scoring if needed, and a hairdryer as a backup plan. Trust me on the timing. I learned this the hard way after ruining a perfectly good accent wall. Live and learn, people. Tip 5. The freehand technique for pros. Now, once you get comfortable with tape, let me blow your mind one more time. The best painters often don't use tape at all. They cut in freehand. I know this sounds intimidating, but hear me out. If you practice this technique on a scrapped piece of cardboard or in a closet, you can get really good at it. And it's actually faster than taping. Here's how. Load your angled brush properly, not too much paint. Start about a 1/4 inch away from the edge. Then use the tip of the brush to gently push the paint right up to the line. The key is to let the brush bristles guide you, not your hand. Your hand should be steady, but relaxed. Hold your breath if you need to for that one critical stroke. I totally do this. And if you mess up, just wipe it off with a damp rag before it dries. This is an advanced technique, so don't feel bad if you stick with tape. But if you want to level up your skills, practice this. You'll feel like a rock star when you nail it. Tools needed: an angled brush, a steady hand where practice helps, and confidence. Optional hack: some painters use a piece of cardboard or a paint shield as a guide. It's like training wheels for freehand painting. Tip 6. Touch-ups and fixes. Okay, final tip: even with all these techniques, you might still get a little bleed here or there. Don't panic. Touch-ups are easy. Keep a small artist's brush and your base color handy. If you see a spot where paint bled under the tape, just wait for everything to dry completely. Then carefully paint over the mistake with your base color. Boom, fixed. You can also use a razor blade to very gently scrape off small drips or bumps once the paint is fully dry. Just be super careful and use a light touch. Here's the thing: even professional painters do touch-ups. It's not about being perfect on the first try. It's about knowing how to fix things so the final result looks flawless. And honestly, most imperfections are way more noticeable to you than to anyone else. We're our own worst critics. So take a step back, look at the whole wall, and give yourself some credit. You're doing great. Tools needed: a small artist's brush, base paint color, a razor blade for scraping, and patience with yourself. Alright, let's do a quick recap because I just threw a lot of information at you. Tip 1. Use quality painter's tape and burnish those edges with a putty knife. Tip 2. Seal your tape first with your base color. This is the secret weapon. Tip 3. Invest in a good angled brush and use proper technique. Tip 4. Remove tape when paint is dry to the touch, but not fully cured. Timing matters. Tip 5. Try freehand cutting in. Once you're comfortable, it's faster and gives you pro-level skills. And tip 6. Don't stress about small mistakes. Touch-ups are easy and totally normal. If you use even just 2 or 3 of these tips on your next project, I promise you'll see a difference. Your lines will be sharper, your edges will be cleaner, and you'll feel like a total pro. Okay, before you go, I need to know, what's your biggest painting struggle? Messy edges? Drips? Not knowing what tools to buy? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every single one, and your question might become my next video. And if this video helped you out, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Alright friends, grab that paintbrush and go make something beautiful. I'll see you in the next one. Happy painting.